Good afternoon, everyone. This is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my monthly Techniques Tuesday class. Everyone. This is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Sorry about that. I always forget to turn my volume off. So today I've got two cards for you. Wanted to announce that this is my door prize for the month of May for anyone placing orders through my online store. This is the Just Because Host stamp set. And this also includes all of my paper pumpkin customers. Now, that's all I have for announcements today. I kind of had to scramble to get everything ready for you. So the first technique I'm going to show you, oh, and hello everyone, I can see you all coming in and joining me, is the rubber band technique, which is this right here. I'm actually going to show you how I did that. I use a clear block, and then I have some rubber bands, and all I'm going to do is actually put them on here. I'm going to crisscross some of them over, just to create a different sort of background. And then let me see, I'm just going to make sure some of them overlap. I'm just going to move a few over, and I'm going to call that good. So this is what I'm using to stamp. Now, if you've seen the rubber band technique in previous, years ago, we used to do it on a brayer, but because Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell a brayer anymore, I thought I would try it on a clear block, and you can see that it works well. So let me go ahead and show you the layers that I'm using today. Rich Razzleberry, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Petal Pink, 5 1/4 by 4. Whisper White, 5 by 3 3/4. And then these two pieces are for the banner layers right here. Rich Razzleberry, 1 1/4 by 4 3/4. And the white is 1 inch by 4 inches. So let me go ahead. We're going to do the stamping first. So let me move all of these layers aside. Now for ink colors, I'm using Rich Razzleberry, Petal Pink, So Saffron, and Shaded Spruce. I'm just going to go ahead and open up all of my ink pads. One more. Now, in order for me to create straight lines, you can see right here I have straight lines on both sides. I'm using the little Post-it notes. And what I'm going to do is actually use my grid sheet. And I'm going to line that up. And I'm not really measuring. I'm just using a couple of the Post-it notes. So it's probably about 3/4 of an inch on this one. On the first card, it was about 1/2 inch. So it doesn't matter where you start. Now I'm going to go over on this side and put down 2 more. And this is probably not even going to be the same size as the first card that I did. Okay, now comes the rubber band. So we're actually going to use this as a stamp. So let me start out with the Rich Razzleberry. I'm just going to ink it like you would a stamp. And you're just going to press down. And you'll see it creates some interesting stamped images. So there's with the Rich Razzleberry color. Now I'm going to clean this with my chamois just like you would an ink, a stamp, I mean. I used this for class this morning, and the other side is pretty inky. Okay, so I've gone ahead and cleaned that. Now I'm going to bring in the So Saffron. And, oh, actually, this is Petal Pink. I'm just going to overlap on the other one. So that's 2 colors so far. You could stop there if you wanted to. But I opted to use 4 colors this time. Next is the So Saffron. Okay, so there's 3 colors. We got 1 more to go. And you're going to see that my little strip is a little bit wider than what I did on card number 1. And this is with the shaded spruce. Okay, so you can see that I've got 4 colors on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and peel off my Post-it notes. And you can see how I have a straight, like a panel going across. So now let's go ahead and assemble the card. So this card is pretty quick once you've got the rubber band portion of it stamped on there. So I'm adding the petal pink to the rich raspberry. Isn't that a nice color combination? I love how that looks together. Now I'm going to add the whisper white. So for those of you guys that do techniques with your in your classes, this would be a good technique to use. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the sentiment. Oh, I forgot to show you the stamp set I'm using today. I'm using the Colorful Seasons, and I'm using the sentiment that says, "You make me smile." And I'm going to stamp that with the shaded spruce. While that dries, I'm going to bring in 3 scraps, the same colors, with the leaf punch. I'm going to punch 3 leaves. And I'm happy to say that the leaf punch has carried over into the new catalog that starts in June. So we did not lose our leaf punch. I'm also bringing in the tailored tag punch just to do the 2 ends. This is also another punch that carried over. So now I'm going to glue these 2 layers together. I might end up trimming I'm going to trim the rich raspberry a little bit more. And that's going to be glued to the front of my card. And then we're going to glue the leaves down. I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue to each stem. And I'm going to tuck those under the banner. So there's 1. There's the shaded spruce, the rich raspberry. And then lastly on this one, I'm going to add some of the artisan pearls. And if you wonder where my colors came from that I used here, I actually used the colors from the pearls. I dug out these pearls and I thought they'd be perfect for a cute little color combination. And let's see, I'll add 1 more right here on the banner. So there you go. There's card number 1, and that's using the rubber band background technique. So you can see that I moved this one over a little bit. I made it wider. You could go ahead and do just a few colors, or like I did here, I did 4 colors. So I did tell you guys ahead of time that I had 2 cards. Normally I only do 1. So let me dig out the second one. The only reason I'm doing 2 cards is because somebody had asked me to do the technique I'm going to show you. I'm actually using our numbers that we received as a free gift for Paper Pumpkin. And for ink colors on this one, Grapefruit Grove, Balmy Blue, and Gray Granite. Pretty colors. So the card that was requested of me was to show you how to do the triple layer stamping. I did this card using different colors, and as you can see, there's 3 layers of white and then 3 layers of the colored cardstock. And somebody had requested that I show you how to do that. So that's what I'm doing with this card. So you need 3 layers of white, 5 1/4 by 4, 4 1/4 by 3, 3 1/4 by 2, and then we have balmy blue, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that. Second layer is 4 1/2 by 3 1/4, and then 3 1/2 by 2 1/4. Now let me go ahead and again, I'll open up all of my ink pads first. And I just kind of picked some random numbers. Like on this one, I used the 8, the 5, the 1, the 4, and the 6. On this one, I've got the 2, the 8, the 3, and the 5. Now, the easiest way to do this, you just add a little bit of adhesive on the back. Center over layer number 2 of your white. And then you're also going to do the same thing. And that's where the triple layer comes in. Let me just bring in my scrap. So now we're just going to start adding some color. And what you want to do, I'm going to do the sentiment first actually. Let me do that with the balmy blue. And the sentiment I added to just the middle portion. But as you're adding your other images, you want to make sure that you stamp over more than one layer. That's where the triple layer technique comes in. So let me see, I'm going to do one there. And let's do the number 8 with the grapefruit. I'm just kind of filling this in. We've got the number 3 with the gray granite. And let's see, we've got the number 2. What I'm going to do with the number 2, I'm going to use the balmy blue, but I'm actually going to stamp off on scrap first. And it's just going to be lighter. I like the way that looks. And let's see, we'll do one more. So what happens when you do this is you're going to see some white space in between your numbers. It doesn't look great. So that's where you bring in some colored cardstock. You're going to take these apart. Now we're going to add the balmy blue in between each layer. Let me grab my snail. So essentially what the balmy blue does is it covers the white spaces between each layer. Okay, so now we got balmy blue and white. We're going to add one more balmy blue. That's going to be centered. Then we go back to the white. So you can see when you line these up, the numbers are still going to line up perfectly to where they should be in between the two white layers. Next is your balmy blue, the third layer. Again, you're going to center that. And you don't have to use these measurements that I have here. This is just a generic way of doing this. You could actually do rectangles. You could do different shapes. So you can see how all the numbers are still lined up by adding the blue in between. Okay, now I want to add some balloons. So I'm going to do one balloon of each color. Now let me see my balloon punch. I actually need to make my balloons upside down so I can cut them out with my punch. And balmy blue is my third color. So now I'm going to punch out all of my balloons. So you can see that this stamp set does coordinate with the balloon punch. The balloons are actually a little bit larger, so you have a little bit of wiggle room there. So if you did get this stamp set with your paper pumpkin, it's a great set. Okay, there's my 3 balloons. And then here's my little bow for my balloon strings. Let me bring the card back in so you guys can see what I did with the balloon strings. So now I'm going to add a glue dot to each balloon. And then we're going to add some twine and then glue them in place. Very simple card. So I'm just going to cut 3 pieces of twine. I didn't even measure them because I'm going to end up trimming them anyway. And then I'm going to add 3 dimensionals. And let's see, I'm going to start out by adding, we need a little bit of blue in this corner. So I'm going to add the blue balloon first. And we'll put gray on this side since we got the grapefruit grove right here. There's balloon number 3. So now what I'm going to do is add another glue dot. Whoops, I didn't grab it. Going to add that right about there, and then I'm going to pull all 3 of my strings, press them in place. I'm going to go through a lot of glue dots on this one. Put one right where the little bow goes. So there's my balloon, and then I'm just going to trim the ends to create the end of my strings. So that's the triple layer stamping and the rubber band technique. So how quick was that? Now tomorrow I'm going to be live again tomorrow, but this is going to be on my my page, the Stampin' Ink Designs page, for my afternoon tea time and a card. I normally go earlier during the day, but I have another Facebook Live that I need to attend. So my class is going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. And I'm using, let me see. I'm going to be using Artfully Aware for my card tomorrow. So I hope you'll join me. If you don't belong to my Stampin' Ink Designs team, just look up the name of this page and ask to join, and I'll approve you, and you can join me tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed my 2 technique cards for today. If there's ever a technique you guys wanted me to demonstrate, make sure you let me know. That's how this one came about. So have a good afternoon, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.